Good day, viewers. Pwalpar here. Got to get out here and feed my birds. I didn't feed them at all today. We did clean off the front porch. Guess I need to drag them up, pour them up some more bird feed. Cleaned the chairs, the tables, squirted off all the pollen, scrubbed this swing and put it back around here. Cleaned up all this area over here. It looks 100% better. Those rocking chairs out there I got in the yard, I need to get them to the burn pile. One's still a fairly good rocking chair, but they're falling apart. I don't want somebody to sit in them and get hurt. But it's looking very nice out here. Here on the porch with Walter today. I thought I'd do a little bit of a vlog. I ain't got nothing particular planned to talk about. But I was thinking back to when I was a child. Times are so different nowadays. Let's talk about children, games they might play or how they occupy their time as compared to how we occupied our time back in that, what I call the old days. The old days, that would be in the 50s and 60s. I was born in 47. So I come up in the old times, I guess you would say. Now you think about it, we didn't have no television. We had an old AM radio set up on top of the icebox because we didn't have a refrigerator. Iceman would come around once a week or so and we'd get a chunk of ice from him if we had the money. We weren't very well off financially. We lived with our mother at that time. Parents were separated. But even after we went to live, I guess when we were 10 or 11, we went to live with our father. And even after that, we were still in the old times. We had to find stuff to keep us occupied. Now, when we were younger, living in South Georgia, that would be between the ages of 4 and 10, I guess. 5 or 6 years we lived down there. But some of the memories are still there as to what we used to do. And we didn't have any toys or much to play with. If we were fortunate, we got a little plastic bag full of Army men. Army, that was shortly after World War II. And playing like you're in the Army is a big thing back in them days. The song that was most popular on the radio was Davy Crockett. And there was some other ones, but I remember that song being played almost every day. They like to wore us out with it. So we had to use our imagination to find something to do, to play, to occupy our time. Nowadays, kids have got cell phones and video games and electronics and stuff to keep them planted right in their house, and then you wonder why. Boy, that's an oddball looking thing. You wonder why children nowadays are so overweight. We weren't overweight because not only did we didn't eat near as much, we didn't have that much to eat. We stayed pretty skinny up running around the neighborhood. We'd go out and play in the woods. Pretend like you Davy Crockett or Daniel Boone or somebody. One of the things we loved to do after we went to live in Florida was go out in the woods and dig a foxhole. A foxhole, yeah, a hole in the ground like the Army men fought from when they're in the war. Dig yourself a foxhole and you had a place to meet when you're out in the woods. It was not uncommon to go fishing in the creek. with an old cane pole and a bobber. Sometimes we just played out in a ditch. It's like an old ditch beside the road. Well, down there in South Georgia, they had a lot of crawfish, crawdads. You ever dig down? They make a hole in the ground, makes a little mud mound beside the stream. So you dig down in that hole until you find that crawdad, crayfish, whatever you want to call them. We call them crawdads. You keep digging your arm down in there until he bites you on the end of the finger with his little pincher. Pull your hand out and you got yourself a crawdad. Now, we weren't smart enough to know that they're a delicacy in some parts of this world. Some people eat them. Well, we didn't eat them. We just played with them. But it wasn't uncommon to dig up 20 or 30 of them out there playing in the mud. And I guess when I was about 7 or 8, I found an old bicycle in the back of my grandfather's garage. It was just a little wooden garage. And I dragged that thing out. Grandma, where'd this come from? She didn't know. Somehow, I don't remember how, but somehow I managed to get the tires blowed up. Maybe somebody had a tire pump. It didn't have no handlebar grips, no fender guard, no basket. It was just a dangerous little thing that I shouldn't even been on. But I got on that thing and run down. We lived on a dirt road. Run down a dirt road and get a running start and jump on that thing. After I done fell off 3 or 4 times, I pretty well got good at riding that thing. One day I was coming down that dirt road, clicking along about 8 or 10 miles an hour, and the front wheel hit a pothole, and the bike flipped over with me on it. And as I went over and landed in the dirt, that handlebar with no handlebar grip stuck me right in the stomach. It darn near punctured my skin. Well, it did puncture my skin, but it didn't puncture my muscles. But I had a red ring scar on my stomach for months after that. I had come darn close to gutting myself on it. But I didn't learn. I got back on that bicycle and went again. I got a video in my collection of videos, if I can find it. I've posted it a couple times about the boy entrepreneur. I might give you a link to that. It's after we moved to Florida. I went out and bought my own brand new bicycle and paid for it myself, delivering newspapers. And kids nowadays expect you to give them everything you want. Give them money or toys, anything they ask for, they get. And they, you know, if your parents can afford it, give it to them. I believe in spoiling them a little bit, but back in them days, we weren't the least bit spoiled. We had to invent ways to play. Some of the crazy things we did. Nowadays they got cell phones. What we did was went down to the Bell Telephone Company. They had a dumpster out behind where all the utility men worked out a big chain link fence. But outside that dumpster, when them workers phone men would come in every day, they'd throw the old junk phones and wires and everything else out there in that dumpster. That's just like gold to a kid. I'd dig in that dumpster and find me a telephone. Got a couple of telephones and carried them out to the foxhole. Well, just pretending like we're talking ain't good enough. We got to talk. Went back to the Bell Telephone Company. Had plenty of wire. Got about 200 foot of this black wire like you see strung along my poles right here. It's a heavy gauge black wire. Coiled up out there. We got about 200 feet of that. Took it out to the foxhole. Wired up them phones, just a handset, not the whole telephone. Just a little handset. On each end of that thing. Well, we figured out how to hook up a 12-volt battery to it. And we could pick up the handset. Can you hear me? Can you hear me? Sure enough, a quarter mile away, wherever the other end of that wire was, my brother said, yeah, I hear you. Meet me at the foxhole. And we just invented things to do. It wasn't uncommon just to go climb a tree just because it was there. I remember one time my brother was in a tree about as tall as that big elm tree out there, way up towards the top. He's no longer with us. When he got up there and the limb he was hanging on to broke, and he come falling down through that tree just lickety-split. And every 10 or 15 feet he'd hit another limb. And he was breaking limbs coming down. He might have been 8 or 9. And the very last limb on the tree was a big stout limb. It caught him enough to slow his speed down and slowed him down to a crawl, and then he fell out on the ground. And he was lucky he lived. He could have darn well broke his neck. Not too many people fall out of a tree and then go climb another one, but he did. Some of the things we did were quite dangerous. We weren't, we could just come and go as we pleased. Our parents didn't think too much about child safety, I guess, as much as they have today. Nowadays, I wouldn't even think of letting my kid or grandkid, and then let my kids run loose like that, but we dang sure did. You ever play King of the Mountain? Get up on a big dirt pile or a hill, and anybody run up there, you'd push them back down the hill. Now, we're not talking about just tug of war. They'd come up punching, fist fighting. Whoever was strongest could take the top of that hill and be king of the mountain. If you're running up there, you gotta shove that guy off the hill or you won't be the king of the mountain. I got my little camera set up out there, kind of angled towards the bird feeder. I don't know if I'll get much footage this late in the evening. But I just felt like talking a little bit. Nowadays, some of the great games and great ways of entertaining kids gives them something to do. My grandkids are riding around in a big old Escalade, got their own little private television set there in the back seat. They can watch video movies or anything they want while their mama's driving them to town. We had to sit in the back seat and keep our mouth shut. Children are meant to be seen and not heard. That's what we were often told. How many of you heard that expression? Children are meant to be seen and not heard. We go to a family gathering, like go to grandma's house for a holiday or something. All the kids and grandkids and cousins would have to go sit at a different table. They weren't allowed to sit with the grown-ups. Used to be a song on the radio, take an old cold tater and wait. Anybody ever heard that song? Take an old cold tater and wait, I'm hungry. Take an old cold tater and wait. Speaking of taters, we had an old wood stove when we lived down in South Georgia. The only stove we had to heat the house. I go in the kitchen and find me an old Irish potato, take that thing in there and throw it up in the hot coals of the oven in the wintertime. Not the oven, the stove, wood stove. Leave that thing lay up in them hot coals for about an hour. Take a stick and rake it out of the fire. It'd be all burnt on the outside. Scrape all that burnt off of it. You got yourself one fine tasting baked potato. Nowadays, just pop that sucker in the microwave. You got a potato in about 10 minutes. I guess we're spoiled all over. Even the adults are spoiled nowadays. You ain't living if you ain't got yourself an air fryer and a toaster oven and a microwave, and sometimes we don't even light up the big stove. Just cook on the air fryer. One popular thing we would do is make us a slingshot or get us a slingshot. Anything that moved, we'd shoot at it. I recall once my brothers and I were under a hickory nut tree, and we got our slingshots all ribbed up where you could shoot them hickory nuts for a country mile. Well, my two younger brothers were over there by the hickory nut tree, and I'm out here in the middle of nowhere. They're shooting at me with their slingshot. I drawed down on them and shot a hickory nut over there, and sure enough, hit my little brother right in the head. Boom! He wasn't old. He wasn't very old. He might have been 4 or 5, 6 maybe. No, let's see, he's 5 years younger than me. If I was 8 or 9, he wasn't old. He was only about 4 years old. Anyway, he goes to crying. Ow! 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 Mama yells out the front door, "What's the matter with you, boy?" And me and Kenny was always real close. Instead of blaming me, he points at my brother and said, "Bobby shot me with a slingshot." I don't know why he took the blame off me. He didn't want to tell him. I guess because I was bigger than everybody. He's scared of me maybe, but I wasn't mean or cruel to him, except the fact I shot him in the head. Thought I'd sit out here and watch hummingbirds, but at this distance I can't see them that good anyway with my eyes. Anyway, I've made just a little bit of a vlog. There's a lot of things I could think about talking about, but I'm sure I've dragged up 1 or 2 subjects that some of you might want to comment on. And I don't want the video to be too drawn out. So I'll go upload this and have a vlog for today. I hope everybody had a nice Easter. Contrary Mary made a baked ham and some potato salad and some macaroni salad and some deviled eggs, and we had some green beans. And naturally tonight we just ate leftovers. The weather certainly is perfectly lovely this afternoon, but the rest of the week it's not supposed to be so good. Moved my bird feeder over. I got a little bit of footage when I moved that thing over. About broke my arm trying to drive it in the ground. I wound up breaking the bird feeder instead. I might include a little bit of that footage in today's vlog. Y'all take care. This is Walter wishing everybody well. And we'll catch you next time.